There is a town in Pennsylvania where the ground itself has been on fire for more than 60 years and where it will keep burning for 250 more. You can stand on its streets and feel the heat coming up through the soles of your shoes. Smoke leaks from the earth. The town that stood here is almost completely gone, not destroyed by a flood or a bomb, but slowly erased by a fire nobody could ever put out. This is Centralia, how a small mistake set the coal beneath a town alight, why 60 years of effort could not stop it, and how it drove almost every resident out for good. Centralia sat in the heart of Pennsylvania's anthracite coal country. For over a century, that coal was everything. It built the town, filled its jobs, and paid its way. But mining the coal for so long had left a hidden danger directly beneath the streets. Under Centralia lay a vast, interconnected labyrinth of abandoned mine tunnels, shafts, and worked-out chambers, threading through coal seams that ran right up toward the surface. The town was, in effect, built on top of an enormous maze packed with the most flammable thing in the region and laced with openings that could feed it air. All it would ever take was a single spark finding its way down into that maze. In the spring of 1962, it found one. The most widely accepted account begins with something completely ordinary, cleaning up the town dump. In late May 1962, ahead of a holiday, the town's rubbish, dumped in an old, abandoned strip mine pit on the edge of Centralia, was deliberately set alight to burn it down and tidy the site. Crews doused the visible flames that evening as they had before. But this pit had a flaw. An opening into the old mine workings below had been left unsealed. The fire slipped down through it, reached the exposed coal, and quietly caught. By the time anyone understood what had happened, the flames were no longer in the dump at all. They were underground, moving into the tunnels, feeding on a coal seam that stretched for miles, with all the air it needed to keep going. What makes an underground coal fire so terrifying is that you cannot simply put it out. It burns below the surface, inside solid rock and coal, where water and foam can't easily reach, and it crawls slowly along the seams, following the fuel. For years, engineers threw everything they had at it. They dug enormous trenches to cut off the fire's path. They drilled boreholes and pumped in water and flushed the tunnels with wet sand and ash to smother it. Again and again, they thought they had it contained, and again, the fire found a way around or simply burned deeper than they could dig. Each attempt cost more, and each one failed. Meanwhile, above ground, Centralia was slowly turning strange. Steam and smoke began seeping up through gardens and cracks in the road. Snow melted in odd patches in winter. Underground temperatures climbed past 1,000 degrees in places, and the air in some basements started to fill with invisible, poisonous gas. For a long time, the outside world treated Centralia as a curiosity rather than an emergency. That changed on Valentine's Day, 1981. A 12-year-old boy named Todd Domboski was crossing his grandmother's yard when the ground simply gave way beneath him. A sinkhole 4 feet wide opened up and swallowed him, dropping him into a hot, smoking shaft. He clung to a tree root, chest deep in the earth, as heat and steam poured up around him. His older cousin heard him screaming and dragged him out. Later testing showed the hole had been venting enough carbon monoxide to kill him within minutes. A child had very nearly been swallowed alive by the fire under his own town, and this time, the cameras came. The near death of one boy finally turned a decades-old curiosity into a national emergency. Once the danger was undeniable, the decision was made that no amount of digging had achieved, not to fight the fire, but to give up the town. In 1984, Congress set aside more than $40 million to relocate the people of Centralia. Most residents took the buyouts and left. Then, in 1992, the state invoked eminent domain and formally condemned every building in the borough. One by one, the empty houses were demolished, until the streets themselves were nearly all that remained. Even the town's postal ZIP code was eventually revoked, as if to erase it from the map entirely. A stretch of old highway that had buckled and cracked from the heat below was abandoned and became famous on its own. A long ribbon of pavement covered end to end in spray paint, leading nowhere. For years, it was the most visited grave marker of a town that was still, technically, on fire. Today, only a tiny handful of people remain in Centralia, allowed to live out their lives in a place that officially no longer exists. The street grid is still there, slowly vanishing under grass and trees, and underneath it, the fire is still burning. It is currently burning at depths of up to 300 feet, across an area stretching for miles, and by most estimates, it has enough coal to keep burning for another 250 years. There is no serious plan to stop it. We are simply waiting it out, over a timescale longer than the United States has existed. Centralia is a strange kind of disaster, one with almost no death toll and no single dramatic moment that still managed to swallow an entire town whole. A reminder that the ground we build our lives on is not always as solid or as safe as it looks. If there's another forgotten place or disaster you think the world needs to know about, tell us in the comments, and we'll bring it back into the light on this channel.